Hefligu. And we're in the middle of discussing a much misunderstood midah, which is the midah of kanos, the midah of standing up for Hashem's kavod. And we discovered a little bit of a secret to proper kanos, because when someone gets up and makes a macha, it's always suspect. Is he stam? Is he a hacker? Is he just an angry guy? You know, sometimes angry people like to go and make a tumult about things and express their anger. Is he just bitter? You know, did he have a tough childhood, and that's why he's screaming and yelling? You know, someone gets up and screams and makes a macha, Michelle. Some people like, oh, take it down a notch. You didn't have to do that. And it's very important to know that there is such a thing as saying, do not speak about HaKadosh Baruch Hu this way. I'm makbid. We gave the mashal last time. You stop being mavaza, my sister. Nobody would say, yeah, I know he was saying those things about your sister, but get over it. Nobody would say that. People were like, oh yeah, you will feel my wrath if you start up with my relatives, my children, right? That we understand. And our relationship with Hashem should be no less. Talmidei Chachomim should be the most revered and loved by us, that we stand up for their honor. And it's not acceptable to us. Someone says something not nice about a Talmid Chacham. You know, a few weeks ago, it was Tisha B'Av time, right? A few weeks ago was Tisha B'Av. It's hard to imagine. A few weeks ago was Tisha B'Av, and Tisha B'Av was Sunday, if you recall. So there are these capsules that people take to be able to have an easy fast. You familiar with them? They have caffeine or different vitamins or Tylenol, Advil. There's all these different color capsules that people take to be able to help them have a good fast. And the shaila came up. It was a big shaila of if you're allowed to take them on Shabbos, because we were preparing for the fast on Shabbos, if you recall. By Shalosh Shuddis, we were preparing for the fast. But you're not allowed to do hachana from Shabbos to weekday. And what? Well, we always eat Shalosh Shuddis. We made a festive Shalosh Shuddis, which was de facto a preparation for the fast. But taking pills, that's for sure. You can't say, oh, it's Shalosh Shuddis, I love to have some good pills. You know, if you're saying that, there are other issues. You know, so the question was, is that hachana? And somebody said that Rabbi Shlomo Miller. You ever heard of Rabbi Shlomo Miller? Rabbi Shlomo. Are you a yeshiva guy or not? Rabbi Shlomo Miller, who's a very, very, very big goyin and tzaddik from Toronto. He's a Rosh Kollel in Toronto, and he's a Talmud of Rabbi Aaron Kotler, and he's a tremendous pasuk. I have called Rabbi Shlomo Miller when I had to paskin on cases of dinei nefashos, like when you should do a DNR or DNI with someone that's dying. When do not resuscitate or do not intubate? There were years that he was the one I called. He's a very, very, very great person. And Rabbi Shlomo Miller paskin that you are allowed to take those pills by Shalosh Shuddis. So somebody was coming around to my seat on shul, and somebody said, and maybe there were some other people around, somebody said to me, oh, of course Rabbi Shlomo Miller said it's mutter. The Kollel of Toronto is the ones who sell those capsules. Of course he said it's mutter. They're expensive, it supports the Kollel. And I felt like it was an affront to a Talmud Chacham to say that. I didn't start. You could be sure that my smoke didn't start coming out of my ears. I didn't hit anyone. But I said we don't talk about a tzaddik that way. We don't assume that the tzaddik was so money hungry for his kollel, not himself, for his kollel to have money that he changed the psak halacha. Do you realize what an indictment that is? Would you want to ask a shayla from a rav who would do such a thing? That for his own financial benefit, he changed the psak? So for someone to suggest in public that someone like Rabbi Shlomo Miller was nagea b'davar, that he changed the psak for financial benefit, can you imagine? Can you imagine saying that about your Rebbe? He wanted it. Well, he stood to gain a few bucks, so he changed his psak. Would you go back to a Rebbe like that? You can't say that about a Talmud Chacham. And I felt like I was obligated to say, no, 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 even though maybe it was a little awkward in the conversation. No, we don't say that. We don't say that. We don't say that. Because you have to make a macha. The question is, how do you know when the person making the macha is doing it because he's a troublemaker, because he has anger management issues, because he has a traumatic childhood, and when the person making the macha is making the macha because it's the right thing to stand up for the honor of Hashem and his avodim. And this Mesilas Yesharim provides us with, you won't always be able to tell on someone else, but at least to understand, this Mesilas Yesharim provides us with a trick, with a path to knowing the difference, at least within ourselves. Where is the anger coming from? Is the anger coming from anger? You're angry that someone said that? Keep your mouth shut. That's not what the Mesilas Yesharim says. If the anger is an expression of your love for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the anger is built on top of your love, that if I would dig down deep enough into the anger, I would discover love. Oh, that's a different thing. Then we could accept that anger. What? That's because you are such a wonderful person. I'm serious. You're such a good person. But in my experience, there are people that want to feel relevant or have other issues, and they sometimes will take advantage of a chance to get angry about something or to make a stand about something, even though it's not necessarily built on love. Like, for example, for someone to make a macha for the honor of Hashem, but not to be taking seriously his own learning and davening, according to this Mesilas Yesharim, would be a major contradiction. If your whole macha is built on your love of Hashem, why aren't there the other indications of love of Hashem? And it's something that a person needs to ask themselves if they feel motivated to speak up as a macha. 1 second. Am I there? Am I that person? This Mesilas Yesharim I'm very excited about because it answers a big kasha for me. Because the halacha, it's brought down that anger is a very, very damaging, dangerous thing. You know that? Anger causes illness, sickness, and it's a very, very, very damaging thing. Anger is a disease. Can you hear me, Yehuda? Anger is a disease. It's terrible. The Gemara says that kol hakayes is ki'ilu avar avodah zarah, that someone who gets angry, it's as if they worshipped avodah zarah. And the Gemara in Shabbos says that the reason is because once you get angry, you lost control. And once you lose control, you'll do anything. You ever get angry and break something, and then afterwards you're like, why did I break that? I like that. But when you're angry, you're not being sensible. So, and the Gemara, the Kabbalah Midrash of the Zohar says that kol hakayes, how are you? That kol hakayes ki'ilu avar avodah zarah, that someone who gets angry, it's like he worshipped idols. That it's not just because it will lead him to do big averos, but it's because when a person gets angry, his neshama leaves him, and a spirit of impurity fills him instead. So, what's your neshama? Your neshama is a part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? When you replace HaKadosh Baruch Hu with tumah, that's called avodah zarah. You replace HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's how damaging anger is. And yet we find that even by Moshe Rabbeinu himself, that there's such a thing as getting angry in the honor of Hashem. 1 second, what happened to the fact that you lose your seichel and it's a terrible thing? This Mesilas Yesharim is the answer. Because the anger of a tzaddik is anger that's the second story of the building. The first floor was love. The love for HaKadosh Baruch Hu that causes the anger. Now it could be, it's not such a pashut thing, it could be that all anger is, I think there's a Rabbeinu Yoina that comes to mind as I'm talking. I think there's a Rabbeinu Yoina that says that all anger is built on love. Sounds strange? All anger is built on love. You know why? Because all anger is built on, I love myself. I love myself and I love my things. And if I feel threatened by you, or I feel like you're going to take my things, or my prestige, or my business opportunities, or whatever it is, I become furiously angry. It's possible, as I'm talking, I'm like developing it. It's possible that all anger is really built on love. It just depends what the love is. Anger that's puzzle is built on love of self. And anger that's kosher is built on love of God. There might be something emistic about that. In any event, ukvar, there's 2 lines from the bottom. Ukvar hifligu chachomenu zechronim levracha. Chazal already spoke. Do you know what the word hifligu means? Okay, whenever you see hifligu, it's not just another way of saying. Hifligu means they spoke in very dramatic terms. Like a plugta is a division where something is separated. Hifligu is to talk like they talk big. They talk dramatically. So kvar hifligu chachamenu zechronim ledaber b'mi sheyesh biyodei limchos ve'einoi moiche. To speak about someone who has the ability to be moiche and is not moiche. This is a very, very sensitive topic, because in America today, it's not popular to be moiche. I'm still haunted now. I went somewhere a few weeks ago, and there was something going on which was not appropriate, and I was not moiche because I just felt like they wouldn't have stopped, and it would have just been like a nuclear bomb on a whole bunch of relationships and abilities to be mechazik people. And I'm still haunted by it. I'm not sure if I did the right thing. It could have been I should have just let the nuclear bomb go off. Moicha means to protest. Thank you. To protest. Yeah, it's popular to protest certain things, but if we usually will look at a protester as a troublemaker. So, for example, let's say in the dormitory, a guy is watching something, and you see it, you feel like it's not appropriate for a Ben Torah to watch it, and you protest. You're going to be told very quickly, mind your own business. Not appropriate. Whatever he does, that's his pleasure. It's not your business. Because it's not considered appropriate for you to talk about what I'm doing. Stay out of my business. But the Torah says otherwise. The Torah says, I'm not talking about someone's private things, but something that's in public, that's an affront to Kavod Shemayim. There's such a thing as Yesh B'Yadei Limchas. Suddenly it starts to sound a little difficult, right?
That's a secular belief. Judaically, if you watch someone watching something inappropriate or like purposely doing so, the Judaic view is like you disrespect that, like you tell them to stop.
Right, that's exactly the point here. That's the point of this V'Seos Yesharim. The Chazal talk dramatically about someone who has the ability to be moiche. V'gozru dinoi litofes ba'avoin hachoitim atzmoi. And Chazal say that someone who does not protest, it becomes a choite like the other people. He gets the Aveira also. It's a contagious disease. This comes up, Rabbi say, if you're sitting by a table, I'm telling you, halacha l'maisa. If you're sitting by a table and somebody mentions the name of a Talmid Chacham, today in the world, there's a big machlokes between 2 Talmidei Chachamim. 2 massive Talmidei Chachamim. And there's a big machlokes, a big tumult going on. And there's a big Yetzer Hara out there. The guys will sit around the table and they will start, talking trash about a Talmid Chacham. And when someone does that, you have an obligation to say, do not talk about a Talmid Chacham that way. And if you sit and don't say anything, it's very dangerous. Because Hashem does not take lightly to people that talk about his children, the people close, the people that teach his Torah. And if somebody is speaking negatively about a Talmid Chacham, we have to protest. We have to say, no, we don't speak that way. We have to do that. The Gozru Dinoi, Ubemedrash Eicha Amru. Look at this. Hayusareho ke'ayolim. Its leaders, Sareh is like a sar, like a princess, are like ayolim. What's an ayol? Like a deer. Okay, an ayol, like an ayol taroi galafike mayim. What does it mean? So Chazal say what that means is, listen to this description. Okay, it's a very, very, very sad description. Ma ayolim halalu, just like these ayolim, b'shas sharav, at a time of like a heat wave, but it's like, it's like a sandstorm, a difficult hot time. So the animals are uncomfortable. So what do to gain comfort when the outside is so blistering hot? Hoifchim pneim elu tachas elu. They turn their heads one under the other. They take refuge in each other. And one of them is facing this way. The other one like nestles his head into the other one to protect themselves. Okay, but you see they're like in a huddle. They're not looking out. Kachayu Gedolei Yisrael. So too the Medrash mourns that Gedolei Yisrael royim dvar aveira. They would see an aveira. They would turn their faces away from it. I didn't see that. I'm not saying anything. But you did see it, and you have to say something. Amar Lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, listen to this terrible, terrible Midah Keneged Midah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Tavai Hasha, the time will come, Va'ani Asa Lahem Kain. I'm going to do the same thing. They're going to need me, and I'm going to turn my face away. Because when I needed you, you turned your face away. Listen to the way the Mesilas Yesharim pleads with us. V'zeh Pashut, says the Mesilas Yesharim. This is Pashut. Ki misha oyev es chaveroi, someone who loves his friend. I efsher loy lisboil. He can't stand. If you love someone, you won't be able to stand it to see sheyira makim es chaveroi. Can you imagine you walking outside? This is like we live in New York, You could be walking in Manhattan and watch two people get into a fight, and at best, people will just walk by. At worst, they'll just gather around to watch. But like to actually intervene and say, stop hurting him, it's not my business. But it's someone who you love, someone who you care about. Imagine you're walking down the street and you see your little brother getting beaten up by someone. You're going to be like, oh, let me see what happens. No, you won't be able to hold yourself back. You won't make a cheshbon in your mind. Should I intervene? No. The fight will be over before you make a cheshbon. Right? It'll be over already. You'll have been in there. You'll get a surge of adrenaline. You will tear it apart because your little brother is in danger. So someone who sees makim es chaveroi or mecharfim oisai, or they're being mevaza him, of course he's going to go help him. Gam misha oyev shma yizbarach. So too someone who loves HaKadosh Baruch Hu, lo yuchal lizboil. He can't take it. It's too much. V'lirois, and to see sheyechalalu oisai chas v'chalila. That there's a chilul Hashem. V'sheyavru al mitzvaysev, and that the ratzon of Hashem, that they should violate the ratzon Hashem. V'hu masha omar Shlomo, this is what Shlomo says. Oizvei Torah yehalalu rasha. Someone who abandons Torah, he's the one that praises a rasha. V'shoimrei Torah, people that care about the Torah, yisgaru bam, they start up with them. Stop violating the Torah. Ki oisam shemahalalim rasha berishay. Those that praise a rasha in his rishus, v'lo yoichichu al panav mumai, it doesn't mean to praise them for what they did. But when you have someone who's mevaza a Talmud Chacham, and then when you meet him, you give him all kinds of honor, would you do that if he was mevaza your brother? And they don't give him teichacha for what he did. They're abandoning the Torah. And they're allowing the Torah to become nischalel. To become nischalel is the opposite of a kiddush Hashem, a chilul Hashem. They're allowing the Torah to be nisbaza, to be denigrated. But those who care about the Torah, that strengthen themselves to strengthen the Torah, of course we're going to stop people that violate the Torah. Not because you're going to make this cheshbon, oh, maybe I should get involved here. No, you're not going to be able to take it. You understand the midah here? The Mesilas Yesharim wants us to fall in love with God and to be so in love with Him that you're not making a Yehuda. Someone starts up with someone in my family. There's no cheshbon. I love my family. I'm not making a cheshbon. That's the way we're supposed to be with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I didn't decide before. 1 second. Let me strategize. Let me lay it out. I'm not doing that. I'm bursting. You're hurting my HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I can't take it. Lo yuchal lehisapek ulahachrish. I can't be quiet. V'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu el Iyov. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Iyov, Hofetz evroi sapecha ure'ei kol ge'eh v'hashpileu. He says, see every balgaiva and lower him down. Re'ei kol ge'eh. See every balgaiva hachni'ehu. V'hadoich rishayim tachtam. Destroy rishayim. Pressure rishayim. Tomneim be'ofer yachad. Hide them in the dirt. Pneihem chavoish bataban. Let them hide their faces. Ki zehu toikef ha'ava. That's the strength of love. Sheyuchal laharos misha'oyev es bayroi be'emes. That someone who truly loves his creator can show. The oimer oyhavei Hashem sinu ra. Those who love Hashem hate evil. It's interesting. I don't think that I'm at Madrega necessarily, that was so passionately in love with Hashem. But I think it's a way for us to measure it. That if you reach a point that when you see Chilul Shabbos, or you see a Bizayin, or you see something, it starts to really eat away at you and bother you, you know you're making progress with your love affair with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's something to work on, to have a passionate connection to Hashem and His Torah, to the point that I no longer have to think about whether or not I should stop someone from rebelling against Hashem. I can't hold myself back. I love Hashem too much to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachal, the Shechina, suffering, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do to stand up for the covenant of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yashikayach.